Could Baker Mayfield be making his way to Seattle next year and joining the Seattle Seahawks? Welcome into this edition of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here as we examine the possibility of bringing the Bake Show to Seattle as recommended by ProFootballTalk's Mike Florio, suggesting that Seattle could end up signing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback this offseason. We'll explore that possibility and more coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, on Sundays here on Seahawks Today, we spam us in the chat. That's our rallying cry to get the 12s fired up, to make our voices heard, to make sure they can hear us inside Lumen Field. We want to get you ready for Sunday. Spam S in the comments section if you want that Seahawks win. If you want to be heard loud and clear and do your part to get a Seahawks victory, spam S in the chat if you're ready for a Seahawks win. We'll get started with today's show. Mike Florio saying the following in his column this week in Pro Football Talk about Baker Mayfield. He has said he wants to stay in Tampa Bay. Other teams looking for a starter could disrupt that. Whether that's the Patriots or the Steelers, if they decide Kenny Pickett isn't the answer, or the Raiders, or the Broncos, if they move on from Russell Wilson, or the Vikings, if Kirk Cousins leaves, or the Seahawks, if they choose to move on from Geno Smith. Regardless, Mayfield likely will have more options in March 2024 than he had in March 2023, and that might not end up being enough to get the Buccaneers to apply the franchise tag. Now, I'll say this. If you were a follower of this show in the summer of 2022, then you very well know I love Baker Mayfield. I have a affinity for Baker. I've been a fan of his for a very, very long time, and I am so excited to see how successful that he's been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. And I was more than open to the possibility of bringing him to Seattle last offseason. But now, nearly 2 years later, the future of this Seattle Seahawks franchise is not a Baker Mayfield. It's not a Geno Smith or a Drew Lock either. The direction this franchise needs to go is finding a young quarterback and building around a young quarterback. Now, Baker, I'll say this. They've been writing him off, and he's not writing back either, much like Geno Smith, right? Signed with the Bucs this offseason. He has been awesome. He'll probably be a Pro Bowl quarterback this year. After all the adversity he went through with the Rams and the Panthers and the Browns, even after leading to the Browns in the postseason for the first time since 1994, he has found ways to overcome those obstacles and still be competitive as one of the better quarterbacks in the league this year. He's thrown 26 touchdowns and interceptions. He's been a lot of fun to watch this year in an offense that's coached up by Dave Canales, who Seahawks fans are very familiar with, the former Seahawks quarterback coach calling the shots for the Buccaneers. He's been awesome this year. His numbers are much improved from what we saw in 2022 and what we saw prior to that in 2021. I loved what I saw from Baker Mayfield this season. But even with that said, with as much as I like what I've seen from Baker Mayfield, this doesn't make a ton of sense for where the Seahawks are at now. You're looking at Baker, according to the folks at Spotrac, getting probably his value right now is about a 2-year, $34 million deal. Now, that is significantly less than what Geno Smith is set to make, and you can move on from Geno after this season if you so choose, and it basically costs you nothing, but that's not, I think, what the future of this Seahawks team is looking at. What do you guys think? Y for yes, in for no. Should the Seahawks sign Baker Mayfield? It's our pinned comment today. Weigh in and tell me what you think. Got some numbers I want to show you here in just a second, but we'll want to hear from you guys first. Weigh in that comment section. Let me know. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. You get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points, passing yards, pass completions, rushing yards. Maybe you want to mix and match different leagues, whether it's the NFL, college football, NBA, and more. I'm doing a little double dose this weekend of your favorite teams, the Washington Huskies and the Seattle Seahawks. I got Michael Penix to have more than 2.5 passing, rushing, or receiving touchdowns in the All-State Sugar Bowl against the Texas Longhorns. And I got DK Metcalf to have more than 58.5 receiving yards this week, which would put him at over 1,000 for the year. Let's put $20 down on it. We're going to make $60 on Prize Picks. We've been doing pretty well on Prize Picks as of late, by the way. Promo code CLNS for $100 deposit match. Link is in the comments and description of today's video, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Now, when you compare Baker to Geno Smith, let's start out there. Mayfield is younger than Geno Smith. And so far in 2023, we have seen Mayfield play at a higher level than Geno Smith has. Geno's had a down year. Baker has had a very nice comeback year. And quite frankly, I would give him the Comeback Player of the Year award. But it doesn't necessarily move the needle enough to say that, yes, I'm going to move on from Geno to go ahead and go to Baker Mayfield. You look at these statistics, and Baker's touchdown to interception ratio, we mentioned 26-8. Comparatively speaking, Geno's 17-9. Yardage, similar. Completion percentage, actually slightly higher for Geno as compared to Baker Mayfield. And both guys with similar paths, similar stories between the two of being written off and the way that they've emerged and had this second chapter as veterans. It's been really cool to see, but I just don't think that it's going to do enough necessarily. If you're the Seattle Seahawks and you're making a change, your pursuit is for that franchise quarterback. Baker is not that needle that you're looking to move all the way. Dave Canales, who's worked with both guys, both Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield, most recently with Baker in Tampa, Geno prior in Seattle, he had this to say about the two of them and how they compare. It really speaks to the character of those two guys, the belief in themselves, the belief in their abilities, the people around them who are speaking life into them. While I know some people might use negative narratives to help fuel them, I think that both of those guys are aware of those things, and so both have that real chip on their shoulder. You love having guys in that type of position who can handle that. Some guys can't handle that. That's part of it, but it's not the whole story. The whole story is the belief in themselves. So if, let's say, the Seahawks decide that they do want to go with a veteran and not with a younger quarterback, if it's down to one of these two, would you rather just go ahead and keep Geno, or would you rather go with the younger quarterback and go sign Baker Mayfield? Which guy would you like to roll with right now? Type B for Baker, type G for Geno. Let us know what you think. Which quarterback would you rather have? Way in that comment section, let us know. We are bringing you daily Seattle Seahawks coverage here on the channel with news and rumors. We're doing our live shows on Wednesdays, watch parties every game day. We're doing our Q&A mailbags. And this weekend, we have not one, but two watch parties here on the channel. Not only are we going to be live for Seahawks and Steelers on Sunday, we are going to be live on Monday night for the All-State Sugar Bowl, the college football playoff semifinal between the Washington Huskies and the Texas Longhorns. Husky fans, I'm sure you're excited to see Michael Penix and company as they try to advance to the national championship game, taking on a very good Texas team led by Quinn Ewers. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to be live for it. We're going to be cheering on the Huskies together here on the channel. Join us coming up 8 o'clock Monday night for Washington and Texas. Also, Seahawks Steelers this weekend here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free and join us for both of them. Now, for me, as we wrap up today, I think it's very important to say this point. The bottom line is this. If you're the Seattle Seahawks and you're thinking beyond this year, 2024, to infinity and beyond, there's too many good quarterbacks in this draft for the Seahawks to pass up on. I think the plan of what you've seen from Geno this year, although he has taken a step back from what we saw last year, I think your best point of action is to keep Geno around next year, but still go draft your quarterback of the future this year. When you're looking at this draft class, from the likes of Caleb Williams to Drake Maye, Michael Penix Jr., Shedeur Sanders potentially could be coming out, Jayden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Quinn Ewers. I mean, there is a very good class here. I don't expect Caleb Williams and Drake Maye to be available when the Seahawks pick, but you look at that class and you can't pass this up. This is the best class we've seen in quite some time. We've seen what teams like the Chiefs did with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, or what the Green Bay Packers did with Aaron Rodgers. to now Jordan Love. The best plan of action is still to have your veteran, bring in your rookie, let them sit and mature accordingly until they're ready to take the reins. And the Seahawks are in the position where they can afford to do that. That is still your best plan, and I think that's what the Seahawks should do going forward. Of the quarterbacks in 2024, who do you like? Name a quarterback that you would like to see the Seahawks pick up in the 2024 draft. Let me know who that is, and we will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.